Hey there, everybody. Welcome into another new episode of the Rapala Collegiate Bass Podcast, episode 233, 233rd episode. Today we're being joined by Parrish from Clemson University. We're previewing the upcoming Collegiate Bass Fishing Championship presented by Bass Pro Shops, the ACA's historic 20th National Championship tournament going to take place at Lake Hartwell in Anderson, South Carolina. Palmer goes to Clemson University. Clemson, just down the road from Anderson. So we're going to get a little bit of a take here from somebody with some local knowledge of the fishery in the area of what to expect at the tournament next week. Palmer, let's start just real generic blanket question here, man. As I mentioned in the intro, ACA's historic 20th National Championship tournament, to be in an event of this prestige, just in general, everything that comes with it, the angler and sponsor banquet, the giveaways, the free items that y'all receive on Wednesday, and then the chance to compete for a national championship as well on top of that. Talk about what the magnitude of next week means for you and what you're anticipating for just the entire event that is championship week.
Oh man, it's an honor. It's a blessing. It's everything that you dream of coming up as an angler. It's one of those things that you dream of, not only having a national chance at a national championship, but having a national championship on your lake, home lake, with it being the 20th anniversary is everything we ever dream of as a kid. You know, especially on a lake like, I guess I'm a little biased, but Lake Hartwell's a perfect place to have it. It's got a great venue, great town of Anderson. Anderson does a lot for the bass fishing community, loves working with ACA, and it's a blessing, and it's great to have all the things at registration. We get all the free stuff, and the ACA is so easy to work with, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree there. Thank y'all for the compliments. It's really cool to hear your take on it because obviously your school's there and the lake is there. Myself, I went to school at the University of Arkansas, but I grew up in the Dallas area in a suburb not far from Lake Louisville, where when I qualified, that's where the championship was hosted. And so I got to sleep in my own bed. My parents came out, got to see them at the end of the day, and I got to fish there close to home and be able to know what that meant to the community, what it was like in the surrounding area. It just kind of, as you're being able to speak to it in terms of what Anderson means to this tournament, I kind of understand where you're coming from, and it's cool to hear that and know that you have an opportunity to fish somewhere that you're familiar with and comfortable with, but also be able to showcase a place that means a lot to you is also really awesome on a stage such as this. As we look forward to that tournament, kind of talk a little bit about what you know in terms of the way that the weather's setting up, the way the fish are patterning. South Carolina is out there east, not too far north, so probably these fish have already spawned. They're mostly post-spawn, maybe some even trying to work their way into their summer patterns. Kind of talk a little bit about any terms of factors such as rain, weather, temperatures, just kind of how everything's setting up leading up to this tournament for the fish.
Yeah, absolutely. The weather, we had some odd weather last week. We had a couple cool nights, really cool days too, with only getting to the low 70s and even a couple low 60 days, or high 60 days, excuse me, which is kind of odd for this part of the region, especially for Lake Hartwell. But these fish, with it being a spotted bass dominant fishery, the weather doesn't affect them as much as it would a fish down in South Florida. And I think it's really cool like that. It says a lot about the fishery. And with the way it's setting up, people can really fish their streaks this week. And I think you'll see a lot of impressive weights just because people can go fish shallow, go catch them off docks, go catch them off broom beds, doing whatever they want. And really, obviously, you have the summertime paddle, slide out deep. You can go catch them out deep. People can fish whatever they want. And I think that's really special about this event. Great timing. And I think it'll be a slugfest. I really do.
Yeah, talking about that slugfest, keeping an eye on, we just came off of Pickwick Lake was our last stop, and that's a fishery on the Tennessee River that has had great weights all throughout the spring, and that was reflected by the event that took place for the ACA at the Pickwick Slam. Hartwell is another one that you see a lot of major national tournaments go through there, and you're seeing both a lot of fish caught as well as quality fish. And we wrote about that on our website, the lake preview article, collegiatebasschampionship.com. Go over there and check that out if you haven't already. But that leads me into my question and talking about the way that the fishery is going to set up is last time we came was in April, so about a month ahead of where we are right now, but that was in 2024, and we fished just a regular season tournament. And so no field limit. We had a little over 220 or so boats, if I remember correctly, and we weighed in over 1,000 fish both days, which essentially means everybody averaged a 5-fish limit that they brought to the scales each day of tournament competition. Talk a little bit about the numbers of the fish that are out there and the opportunities for anglers to catch those, but also on top of that, not only are you going to catch a lot of fish, there's a chance to catch a lot of really good fish.
Right, I completely agree. It's kind of the perfect window now. These fish have fully spawned. I'd say probably about 3 weeks ago. So they've now got out of. They're still in the post-spawn pattern a little bit, but they're really transferring into the summer pattern well. They're fattening up again, so you're not going to catch a lot of the skinny post-spawn fish, which I think it's going to be awesome. I remember fishing that tournament last year in April, and it was unreal. It was a great spawning tournament. You could catch them a lot of different ways then too, but obviously if you wanted to do well, you caught a bunch of spawners, and it was just a really good time. I think there are more largemouth showing up this year than I've ever seen before. I've fished this lake all growing up, and I've never seen this many largemouth weighed in tournaments. It really just between this calendar year, and I think that's really cool to see because you think of Lake Hartwell, you think of big spotted bass and big largemouth too, but it's really becoming a lot better largemouth fishing, and it's really cool to see. You're going to see a lot of anglers, if you talk to them after weighing, they're probably going to say they caught 40 to 50 fish that day. And it's going to be pretty easy, but it's not just, you're not catching 1.5 to 2 pounders now. It's your 2.5 to 4 pounders that are really going to set you apart. That 3 to 4 pound bite, you put a couple of them in the boat, you're going to have a really good tournament.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about how somebody might go about catching those, because that was something that we had the anglers with King University on the latest episode earlier this week, and they were saying that they're coming from Bugs Island, where that fishery was kind of 50-50 largemouth spotted bass, and they targeted the largemouth over the spotted bass and ended up winning that event with a better weight. Something that you talked there that I found interesting was mentioning the more largemouth showing up. So question's twofold. If you want to try and target those largemouth versus the spotted bass, is there anything specific that you can do? And then also catching that bigger, better quality fish, how might an angler go about attempting to do that in terms of location or bait size and presentation as well?
Right. I think the majority of your largemouth will be caught up shallow, especially up your different river channels on Lake Hartwell, with it being the Seneca River. There's 6 and 20 Creek. There's Tugaloo River. Those three are kind of dominant, especially the Seneca and the Tugaloo. Those are your two majority rivers that really just are very consistent with putting out. When you run up one of them, you know what you're going to get. They're pretty consistent, which I think that's pretty cool. And then obviously with the bigger fish, the largemouth, how are you going to consistently catch bigger fish? I think that gives on different parts of the lake. So I think with anglers throughout practice, they'll be able to tell that certain parts of the lakes are better than others. You can catch fish on all I forgot how much shoreline there is in Lake Hartwell, but you can catch fish literally all around the lake. But I think you can tell the bigger biomass of the fish are in different parts of the lake for sure. Especially, Green Pond's the perfect place to where you can run up. You can run to the Tugaloo. It's not far. You can go up 6 and 20. It's right beside it. And Seneca Creek is right near it too. So
yeah, the lake sets up really good for anglers to come from all over and do what they like to do to be able to get bites, and that's what's fun about a national championship tournament as well, is the fact that you do have anglers coming from all over. This season out on our tournament series, we've had teams from Florida to California up to Michigan, and I want to say even in my time here being involved, we've had teams come from Canada. So what you want to do, you're able to go out and find a way to do it. Does that mean that you're necessarily going to be catching the winning fish? No, but are you going to get bites? They're out there for sure for you to be caught any which way you'd like to do so on Lake Hartwell. Talk a little bit about the cover real quick. You touched on it, and basically outside of like really any type of emergent vegetation, Hartwell's got a little bit of everything: rocks, docks, wood, offshore structure, little nuanced things, different islands, underwater structure to target. Talk a little bit about those different fish holding type habitats that exist at Hartwell.
Yeah, it's no secret to anybody. With it being with it being a herring lake, the cane piles and the offshore brush piles really come to play. Lake Lanier sets in a very similar way like that. And you think of big spotted bass chasing herring, you think of Lake Hartwell, Lake Lanier, and it's one of them things to where you can run it, and you can run it from the time we blast off in the morning till it's 5 minutes to weigh in. You better get back in time. It's a fun bite. You can really, there's so many ways to fish it. And with the islands, as many islands there is, there's the spotted bass setting up on those banks on the islands. that the different way the contour lines connect the islands, they just set up all different ways. There's a lot of shoals on Lake Hartwell where spotted bass are always surrounded in those, and they're just the good thing about Lake Hartwell is a lot of high percentage areas, and there's not much dead water. I remember we had a tournament out in Oklahoma this year, and there was just a lot of dead water all over the place. And I think, like you were talking about at Bugs Island, it's kind of something similar to Hartwell like that, to where there's a bunch of shoals, and you can just there's a lot of ways to catch different fish. And like you said, with the offshore brush piles and all that, there's those are really shining this tournament.
Yeah, it's setting up to be a good early summertime tournament here, Lake Hartwell, Anderson, South Carolina. The Collegiate Bass Fishing Championship presented by Bass Pro Shop, the ACA's historic 20th National Championship tournament, going to take place next week. We're talking with Palmer Parrish from Clemson University. You mentioned the herring, so we'll ask here. I'm from Texas. I've never fished in a fishery that's had them present. On the ACA, we have been to Lake Murray in South Carolina, which I believe has them, and then also Lake Hartwell. Talk a little bit about what is unique about about that specific type of bait, and why are the fish so keyed in on it?
So yes, you were correct. Lake Murray does have them, and really your two, Clark Hill has a little bit about of them as well in South Carolina, but really they're very prominent in Lake Hartwell and Lake Murray. They're a little bigger than threadfin shad, which is obviously your most prominent bait fish in most fisheries across the United States. But with that, it's one of them things to where I don't know. There's something special about them. The bass love to feed on them. And it's not just feeding on them throughout the day. Not in the morning. It's all throughout the day. They will feed on them the entire day. You can follow this herring all throughout the day, and there will be fish with them. It's fun. You can throw topwaters pretty much from sun up to sundown, and I don't care if it's 90 degrees or if it's 60 in the morning. Something about them herring and the way they run just really makes the spotted bass and the big largemouth too. Don't be surprised if there's a lot of big largemouth caught offshore this week.
Looking forward to it to see how it all plays out, what's going to be caught, how big are the bass going to be, and as we're kind of mixing up a storyline here is how, what are we going to see, spotted bass versus largemouth? We'll know in a little over a week. We're recording this on Friday before the championship, so exactly a week from today, we'll be crowning the national championship champion and competing for the final day there at Lake Hartwell. As we get to wrapping things up here, Palmer, tell me real quick, we've hit a little bit on how you think it could be won and the quality of the size fish that need to be caught. So for 2 days, like I mentioned in that tournament, the lake preview article on our website, I looked it up. I believe each of the last 2 times we came, so 23 was the last championship event contested around the same time of the year. It took a little over 35 pounds for 2 days, and the Hartwell Slam, it took a little over 34 pounds for 2 days. Are you anticipating, kind of give me a winning weight projection, do you anticipate it to be less than, equal to, or greater than the past winning weights I just mentioned?
I think it's going to be right around it, but I think it'd be a little over. I think it's going to take I think your winner will have 20-something on one day, and then probably back it up with 17 or 18 the next day. I think it'll take right around 38 to 40 pounds, though. I really do. I think there's just a lot of quality fish to be caught right now. Lake Hartwell's fishing better than ever, and it's really the perfect time of year, and it's set up because those fish have not been beat up yet throughout the summer. There's a lot of fresh fish that are offshore, and there's a lot of fresh fish still up shallow, so it's the perfect time for the event.
Palmer, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with us today. We look forward to seeing you in the rest of the full field there in Anderson, South Carolina, coming up very shortly. Any other information you anglers might be looking for, get over to our website, collegiatebasschampionship.com. We'll have it there as well as on our social media. And if you are registered for the event, be sure to be checking your email for other correspondence that we'll send out in the coming days. Thanks again, man. Best of luck at the tournament. We'll see you in Anderson, South Carolina real soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Y'all have a good one.
Welcome to Minnow King. How can I help you?
Everything looks good. I'm friggin' starving, man. Been spawning all morning.
Ugh, TMI, bro. What do you want?
I'll take a Crush City freeloader and gizzard shad.
Anything to drink.
Water.
Pull ahead, please. Welcome to Minnow King.
We're gonna have what he's had. Yeah, throw me in a Ned BLT, too.
Pull ahead, please.
Calm down. Quit feeding him so much.
Hey, man, I'm trying to, man. If you
If you overfeed him, he's going to hide under a log.